Hi everyone, and welcome to the Soul Illumination reading for the sign of Capricorn. This is I Am Illuminated Tarot reading for Soul Illumination. So hi everyone and welcome. This is a reading that is going to be taking a look at what your soul would most like to illuminate for you at this time. Now once we pull that area of focus, we'll dive in, we'll take a look at a block or a challenge around that. We'll look at advice from Spirit as to how to overcome that block or challenge, and then we'll jump in and take a look at a level of abundance or spiritual growth that wants to come in on the other side. All right, Capricorn, so we're looking first at the energy that you're sitting with currently, which is the Eight of Cups. Now, the Eight of Cups is an energy of walking away from something that no longer is emotionally supportive of you. Now, that can be difficult, right? Because when we're looking at the picture here, this is an individual who's poured their emotional self, they've poured from their cup into these 8 cups. So there's a sense of lengthy emotional investment. Now, this can be when we invest a lot into a job, we invest a lot into a relationship, we invest a lot into sometimes a way of being. And we finally get to that point where we realize we could keep pouring of ourselves into these 8 cups, but they're not going to mean any more to us. They're not going to become suddenly emotionally supportive, or we're going to suddenly emotionally connect to them in a better way. There's that feeling of kind of having to cut your losses, and to some it may look like you're walking away from quite a bit, but there's that realization that there is something more for you out there. Now, I often read this card because there's a sense here of the Eight of Cups. The individual is taking one of their cups, and there's a sense of going out in search of the 10th cup. So they take the 9th cup, which is theirs, and they're seeking the 10th cup, which in the tarot, the 10 of cups is the happy family card. It's a heart's fulfillment. It's that beautiful energy of I've finally attained what I've set out to feel, that sense of joy and happiness. And I always see this card as representing that sense of maybe realizing that either A, you have something that you've worked a lot on or towards, but you have no one to connect it with. This would be like focused on a career path for most of your life, and you wake up one day and realize, oh my gosh, I have all this money and I have all this, high-powered experience, but I don't have that significant other to share this with. Or this could be where you realize that you've been putting a lot of energy, maybe years and years and years into a relationship, and you realize this isn't the person for me. This isn't the person I can be vulnerable with. This isn't the partnership for me. Because to get from the 8 of Cups to the 10 of Cups, there's the implied 2 of Cups, which the 2 of Cups is equal partnership. It's 2 people coming together with their cups full and being able to really, stand shoulder to shoulder. And so there's a sense of maybe this individual realizing, if this is relationship bound, that there might be a more supportive person out there for them. Or this could just be the realization that you're looking now to connect with others in a different way, maybe in a different location as well. Now, what your soul is highlighting for you at this time is the 9 of Swords. Now, the 9 of Swords is a card of worry, anxiety. These are the thoughts that keep us up at night as we're trying to look at every contingency. We're trying to plan for everything. And there can be a sense with the 9 of Swords in the realization that these are just thoughts. We cannot plan for everything in our life experience. We could sit there and this would be like trying to plan a vacation, and you're trying to mitigate against every little thing that could go wrong. But ultimately, if you're going to get on an airplane and fly somewhere, or get on a train, or even get in your car and drive somewhere, if it decides to have a heavy snowstorm or a blizzard, there's not a lot that you can do about that. You can't stop Mother Nature. There's that kind of sense here of realizing that sometimes we just have to trust our feeling, our gut, which is the 8 of Cups, and go out there in search of the bigger adventure, knowing that there's something more fulfilling for us, and kind of put aside that worry. Now, we'll dive a little deeper into that in just a second. Now, the bottom of the deck, so your main underlying energy here is the Page of Cups. I love that energy because it's the energy of innocence. I often look at it as representing our inner child, but it can also represent a child in your life. This could be where some of you have recently become a parent, because with Judgment and Temperance, there's definitely something here that speaks to a big change that's happened in your life. You could have become a parent, you could have become a grandparent, you could suddenly have realized that you want to become a parent. But there's something around either the realization of your own inner child or a childlike energy coming into your life. Now, with Temperance, this can speak to divine timing. It can speak to bringing two areas of your life into balance. And with Judgment, there's a sense here of, again, something life-changing happening. I look at Judgment often as things that we can't go back from. Meaning, these are the kinds of changes in our life that, once you become a parent, you will always be a parent. Once you decide to commit to somebody and you walk down that aisle and you say, I do, well, you can never go back to being a person who was never married. It's you could get divorced, but then you'll be someone who was married and then divorced. There's that sense of, I am a new person. An aspect of my life or my experience has fundamentally changed. And for many of you, it's fundamentally changed in a joyous way with the Page of Cups, whether this was through having a child or whether this was through reconnecting with your own inner child, that own innocent version of yourself, which might be shedding light on what is no longer supportive of you at this time. Sometimes when we connect with that aspect of the self, where we connect with that part of ourself that maybe we had lost touch with as we went through our life experiences, and we realize, oh my gosh, I want to get back to that version of myself, or I want to have more of that soft side of myself shown again. Because the Page of Cups can also speak to the softness. This is someone who is able to share their emotions in a very vulnerable way. They are open to having others do the same. And so it's getting back to that kind of inviting emotional openness that can bring a lot in for you and for anyone who adopts that energy. So I do feel there's a softening, but there's a worry here. And again, that worry is what your soul is trying to show you, I think, in a way that to get past that worry, whether this is around, again, a childlike, energy in your life, or whether this is yourself, there's a sense of really just embracing, really honoring your emotions. There's something emotionally being highlighted for you right now. And I think you know what that is. With the Ace of Swords coming in, now this is your main challenge, but I think with this coming in, this speaks to clarity. This speaks to a revelation. This can speak to realizing a truth in a situation. And with the Six of Wands, for many of you, this can be clarity as to one of two things. This could be actually clarity as to where you have become very successful in your life. Maybe there's a sense of there's been a lot of worry, there's been a lot of change, you've had to walk away from something, and suddenly it's like, oh my gosh, actually I'm sitting pretty nice in my experience. And sometimes that can be hard for us to actually allow ourselves when we've maybe gone through a difficult situation or a difficult period in our life. The Eight of Cups and the Nine of Swords, where we've been the one that's been so used to worrying. We've been the one that's had to carry a lot of, we'll see if the Ten of Wands comes up, but I'm kind of feeling that for you guys, that there's a sense of having to carry a lot on your shoulders. And you are a Capricorn, so Capricorns in general carry a lot on their shoulders. Okay, wow, we have quite a storyline coming out here. Okay, let's see if I can get the cards to kind of settle. Okay. So your secondary underlying energy, bottom of this deck, is the Four of Wands. So there's a sense here of also looking at a foundation, a supportive foundation for yourself. This could be a marriage as well, but we'll dive a little deeper into that. Now, at the heart of your reading, what Spirit is really giving advice for you right now to see with the Wheel of Fortune is there's a sense of realizing that the wheel has turned over for you, that there is maybe you are in a more fortunate setting, or that this is the time. When it comes out like this from myself, the Wheel of Fortune, there's a sense of of the time is now for a change. The time is now for the energy to have, maybe you're at the top of the wheel now instead of at the bottom. It's kind of that realization of the ending of the wheel turning, and now it's starting to turn again. So now that the energy is changing to move forward. And there's a sense here with the Ace of Swords and the Six of Wands, there's that revelation again around success. It could be even revelation as to how you want to be seen, how you want to be recognized for some of you. Now on the other side, coming in here, there's a King of Cups, and here's the Eight of Cups again. So we have the Eight of Cups as a prominent, this is really, you're looking at walking away. King of Cups. King of Cups is the energy of the unconditionally loving father. It can be someone who is very emotionally mature as well. They really understand their emotions. They are able to take action from how they feel, but in a way that is very responsible. They're not going to lash out. They're not going to... this would be someone who's very, very able to communicate how they're feeling, but not again in a way where they just get, angry and fly off the handle, or they start to break down and cry and scream. There's a sense of this person just being very much at peace with what they're feeling and incorporating that into how they live their life. Now, for some of you, you could be dealing with a Scorpio in your life. This is scorpionic energy. And with the Eight of Cups coming in as your main, this is almost like, I feel like the universe is really showing you here that there's a sense of emotional control, but there's a sense here of, I think for many of you Capricorns, getting to a place where you are recognizing your emotions. You're allowing them to come up. You're allowing them to kind of help you intuitively guide you as to what no longer feels supportive for you. And what would the King of Cups do when something doesn't feel supportive? He would simply, because he's a king, he would take responsibility and he would lead in his actions. He would say, well, if that's no longer supportive, well, then I'm going to make a change. I'm going to walk towards something that will be much more supportive for myself. Now, the Eight of Cups here is being clarified by the Hanged Man, the Queen of Wands, and the Queen of Swords. Now, we have the Hanged Man speaks to the energy of seeing something from a new perspective. The Queen of Wands is Aries energy. This is the energy of someone who is fiery, someone who shows up unapologetically as they are. And the Queen of Swords is someone who is very clear on their own story. They know what they've gone through. They know what they've survived. They can speak to the lessons they've learned. And sometimes that individual can sometimes become jaded. There's a sense that this person can apply their experience or their story and let that color the entire their entire life experience, meaning that if they went through a difficult time, then everybody, say they went through a difficult time working for a big corporation. Well, then every corporation is bad, and every person who's ever worked for a corporation is, just on the path to being burned out the way that they were, or every person who gets into a relationship where they commit fully is going to be screwed over at some point. There's that kind of sense. But I think for many of you, there could be a change in perspective around either a female figure in your life, depending on if this is you're a female, or you identify as a female, or you are a masculine. This could be where maybe you are seeing a relationship with someone who is kind of Aries or fiery. This could be a Leo or Sagittarius. And the Queen of Swords is, and I'm blanking. I'm so sorry, guys. What are the air signs? Aquarius. Wow, my mind has just gone blank, and I cannot believe this. Air signs, Libra. So there's a sense here with like the Libran energy coming up. There can be, just thinking of, this could be a Libra and an Aries in your life. But what I'm seeing more than anything here, which is interesting, is right now the North nodes, and I know I speak to this a lot in my readings, but it is important because this is the big shift that we're all feeling right now. And it's also playing out largely on the global scale. So there's a sense here with the North nodes having shifted a couple months ago from Taurus and Scorpio, which is, I see that kind of here, especially with the scorpionic energy coming in here, shifted from those two signs into Aries and Libra. So we are all being pushed individually and collectively to really understand how we work in relationships, which is Libra, and how can we really become autonomous and step into the I, which is Aries, but do so in a way that kind of has a bigger picture for the collective, understanding that when we fully step into our role of what we're kind of meant to fulfill in our life experience, and we take responsibility for that, suddenly the whole collective, if everybody does that, starts to become much more clear as to advancing forward and kind of where we all fit with each other. There's a sense here for some of you of actually kind of dealing with that energy within yourself. You might be realizing where you have, dimmed your own light, where you have not shown up fully because of your previous experience interacting with others, and where maybe you got wounded, maybe the truth of where you've kind of let yourself maybe be walked on or walked over, but it could also be where you've been hurt. And so in being hurt, maybe you created stories that kind of either A, stopped you from feeling, meaning you just kind of cut yourself off emotionally and you just said, well, I got to keep going because I don't want to get hurt. So I'm not going to feel those feels anymore. Or it can be where you simply just got stuck in a story and now you're realizing maybe that story is changing. You might be realizing with the Ace of Swords and the Six of Wands that maybe you have been telling yourself a story about how you had been down and out for so long, or, you're the one that has to constantly fight or be the protector or be the person who works and takes on all the work at their job themselves. Or it could be in the home life as well. This could be like saying, the reality of my life story is that I'm the one who has to do everything, something like that. And there's a realization, I think, for many of you that the walking away, the Eight of Cups is walking away from that story. That you get to make the choice to bloom where you're planted. That's what the Queen of Wands speaks to. That's the Aries energy. That's the I am. I am here. And we have to remember, too, that it's not about just, we can't just run away from the self, right? Or run away from our emotions. The King of Cups would not run away from his emotions. The King of Cups understands his emotions and he uses them and he takes pride and he allows them on a deeply intuitive level to guide him forward. And he's very emotionally connected to his life experience. So there's a sense here, Capricorn, getting very emotionally connected to your life experience, possibly through a child coming into your life that has changed something, or possibly due to you reconnecting with your inner child. Now, that could also have come through having a child in your life. Often we connect to our inner child through being in the presence of a child. But there's a sense here of really the abundance that wants to come in for you is a reconnection to yourself. It is an honoring of your emotions. It's going deep like Scorpio does. And again, really allows those emotions to come up and to utilize them in your experience. And to finally, I think for once and for all, walk away from a storyline that I think you're having a perspective shift on now, realizing, I've got a lot of success in my life. Ace of Swords, Six of Wands. I'm being recognized. I'm not the one that always, has to work 12 hours, of overtime a week with no recognition. I just got recognized. In fact, I just got a major promotion. This could be something like that where you realize, oh my gosh, the storyline of I always get abused at work has changed a long time ago. I actually enjoy the job I'm in. I enjoy the life I'm living. There's a sense here of that, but it has to come through the emotional awareness of walking away from a story where I think maybe the I, who you were, was pushed aside. You had to put aside yourself, maybe even your own happiness for quite some time in your life, And with the Four of Wands, this could be around, a significant foundation. It could be in a marriage. It could be, again, in a place of work. It could be building your own business. But there's something around that where now I think the Nine of Swords no longer applies. It's like getting out of your head, all that worry, all that's frustration, all that trying to figure out the contingencies, trying to see the next step, trying to make sure the people in your life are protected. And it's like the realization of the wheel has turned in your favor. And you're sitting in a place where you now can allow those emotions to come up, and you can start to really honestly and innocently emotionally connect to your life experience, but in a way that now honors you. Very, very interesting, Capricorn. There's definitely a call here that your soul is illuminating for you, that the way to kind of calm if you have anxiety right now or you're overthinking is really just to lean into what you feel and use that as your guide, and realize that things are much better than they appear to be. Okay, so for the Ace of Wands, we have the Six of Wands. I'm sorry, the Ace of Swords, we have the Six of Wands, clarifying that. So that's just double confirmation here. The realization is you've made it. The realization is success, yes. And then we have the Ten of Swords. This says very clearly that difficult period. The Ten of Swords is when we've been brought to our knees. The Ten of Swords is when we've gone through that difficult period where we couldn't see the light at the end of the tunnel. But the beauty of the Ten of Swords is that is the final card in the 10-card cycle. And what we learn about ourselves is we stand up, we realize we have survived, and that we start with the Ace of Swords again on the next cycle. And the Ace of Swords is the truth of what we're capable of surviving. The realization that also that cycle, that period in our life is done. So for many of you, there is a clarity coming in here right now of the difficult time you've gone through. And this could be a lifetime, or it could be the past 3 years, or it could be, whatever it is. There's a sense here of realizing suddenly, oh my gosh, I've made it out the other side. I am being recognized for what I went through, how far I've come. And I am successful in my life as I sit. Let's see what wants to come in for that Six of Wands. If the Ace of Swords come out, I will laugh. Okay, yes, we have the Knight of Swords. I love that. It's almost like somebody coming in and saying, this could be the person coming in and sharing that blunt truth. It could be somebody in your life saying, you have so much to be grateful for. Like, look how far you've come. Do you realize that, yes, with the Nine of Coins, Nine of Pentacles, this is like somebody saying, you're sitting pretty, just enjoy the fruits of your labor. Or this could be somebody coming in and sharing a truth about your success. This could be somebody coming in and saying, in your workplace, here's the promotion. And everybody is applauding you, and we've seen how hard you've worked, and you suddenly get a sizable raise with the Nine of Pentacles that puts you into a level of financial independence. But there's also a sense here where it could be somebody coming in to say, it's time to enjoy the fruits of your labor. You can keep sitting here and putting your head, your nose to the grindstone, so to speak, or you could stop and enjoy what you have. There's really a sense here of that energy with the Knight of Swords and the Nine of Coins. Somebody coming in and saying, let's enjoy this. Let's enjoy the success. Let's enjoy this period of abundance. Or it could be somebody coming in and saying, job well done. Here's the kudos, and it puts you into a level of again, sitting in a very abundant place. And Nine of Pentacles is when we do get to enjoy the fruits of our labor. Okay, let's see the Wheel of Fortune. There's that Ace of Swords again, and Temperance. Yes, the realization, I think, of how your life is coming into balance. Temperance, again, the realization that the timing was always supposed to be now, that everything happened in the right time. There can also be a sense of realization of the Temperance can be about how we blend our emotions and our emotional connection to our life experience with how and where we choose to take action. And I think for many of you, that's the realization now. is that at this time in your life, or whatever you went through, this difficult time was to allow you to get reconnected to your emotions, the core of your innocent self, the inner child, and that now you get a chance to blend that emotional awareness, King of Cups, with how you choose to take action currently. And that alchemizes into a whole new way of being. I just got chills saying that. For many of you, this is, you're coming into a very new way of being. Okay, so yeah, we have the Nine of Swords and the Eight of Swords. I think for many of you, there's a sense, here's that Nine of Swords coming in again on the King of Cups. Now, this could really speak to feeling stuck. You don't see a way out. There's something here that maybe you sat in that energy for a long time, especially when we think of the progression, the 8 to the 9 to the 10, where you didn't see a way of how to change things, of how to move forward, of how to get out of this cycle of pain or a very difficult time in your life. And now there's a sense here of saying, it's time to get out of the head. You can't rationalize. You can't think your way forward. It's time now to feel your way forward. It's time to connect to your life experience. It's also saying that there's a sense of having healed. When we go from the 10 to the Ace, that's having been able to heal yourself from all these wounds and be able to pick yourself up again and hold that sword. So there's an implied sense of healing. There's an implied sense of it's time to get out of your head. You don't have, I keep hearing like, it's not a time to strategize. It's a time to feel. It's a time to enjoy. It's a time to realize that there is a level of success that you've earned for yourself, and it's here for the taking. Okay, let's see. There can also be, too, if this, the King of Cups does represent somebody in your life. This could be, or maybe for some of you, especially if it was a Scorpio, Cancer, Pisces, a deep water sign, there could be a sense that for some time you felt in your relationship maybe trapped by them, or you couldn't see a way forward. You could even been trying to protect them. But I think, again, that this is all, that story has resolved. But more than anything, I do feel that this is just a very clear indication of you've gone through the cycle, this kind of, stuck thinking or the worrying, I don't see a way forward or around. You're past that. You've now come into this place of true emotional connection, and you're coming into a very intuitive way of moving in your life. Okay, so now we have the Knight of Cups with the Eight of Cups. The Knight of Cups is Piscean energy. It's the energy of the hopeful, romantic, and the Two of Coins. Yeah, I'm really getting here. Bottom of the deck, the Sun. Oh, I love that. Yeah, for some of you, this definitely could be where a child came into your life and has really changed the trajectory of your life, the setting of your life, change how you connect to yourself, or through maybe this could even be like where you're surprised or pregnant and you totally like threw your life, out of whack for X amount of time. And now you're like, wow, that was crazy. But now I see why it all had to happen that way. And oh my gosh, our life is joyful. And I can finally walk away from that, this telling the story of how, I was the one that had to put aside myself for others or something like that. Because now with the Knight of Cups and the Two of Coins, there's a sense here of kind of facing that emotional adventure again. I always look at the Knight of Cups as someone who is ready to get word from the king to go on that grand quest out on that adventure. And they do so with rose-colored glasses on, and they do so ready to embrace what comes their way. Now, with the Two of Coins, there's a sense here really looking at your day-to-day experience. The Two of Coins can be juggling just the day-to-day tasks. it can often ask us to make a choice, that we can keep juggling those day-to-day tasks. We can keep just kind of going through our life experience like a robot and wake up, do this, do this, do this. And then this is like can speak to routines sometimes. Or we can focus on one pentacle, one of those pentacles that now means more to us because we are using our intuition to guide the way. And we now know this is what I'm going to start to put my energy towards more. This is where I'm going to actually take my emotional energy away from perpetuating this story. And I'm going to put my emotional energy into hopefully and optimistically growing a new opportunity that I'm now seeing. This can also be that this is asking you to incorporate the energy of the Knight of Cups into your day-to-day experience, meaning the hopeful, optimistic, even youthful energy. This can be saying it's time to kind of peel off those layers of, I feel like, protection you've had to place on yourself, where you might, because the Queen of Swords can be someone who's very blunt. That could be someone who can, she doesn't, she how can I say this? She's someone who's going to say it like it is, both towards herself and towards others. And there's a sense that sometimes that can be kind of like prickly energy, right? Like sometimes it's fun to be around people who are blunt like that. But it can also get to the point where, if you're finding that every time somebody's talking about a joyful event, the first words out of your mouth are something negative, or you're finding that you're perpetuating, again, through your thoughts, a negative storyline, a negative depiction of your whole life story, and you're realizing, I'm not gonna keep telling people that my life is just one big, long, awful ordeal. I'm not going to tell people that anymore because it's not true. Because actually my life is pretty successful. I've got a lot going for me. And the truth is, actually all of that I went through was to get me here. The sun. Illumination. This is the illumination of the purest version of yourself, the child within. This harnesses the energy of Leo, and it harnesses the energy of truly a child coming into your life. So there's definitely a sense here of like a marriage, a foundational relationship, or a foundation, and the illumination of the inner child, or the illumination of your inner self, possibly through a child. But I also get the feeling here that there's a sense that you're being asked to walk away from anything that is not emotionally supportive of your current success, including past storylines or a way of describing your life either to yourself or to others that came across as negative. And you get the chance now to step into this place of speaking, of integrating that into your day-to-day experience, into the little things. That optimism, that hope, that joy, that holding your cup out to others who want to hold their cup out to you. I love this. Very joyful energy coming through, Capricorn, if you can allow yourself to accept it. Again, life is a two-way street. We do have destinies that are waiting for us to fulfill them. But let's try to get them. But we also have to be the one through free will to meet that destiny. So we can have all the things kind of line up at our doorstep, but if we don't open that door and start taking the universe up on what's being offered, then our whole lifetime can pass by. Okay. And right now, what I feel coming forward for many of you is a beautiful opportunity to really enjoy life. There's a lot of abundance coming in for you and a lot of emotional connection, which to me, I look at as actually the main level of abundance or riches we can have in this life experience, is emotionally connecting to our life and therein being able to open ourselves up to joy, which is the ultimate abundance. Okay, so I'm going to read these two final cards to leave you with something to take away before we end the reading. So let's jump in here to the number 24. Number 24, initiation by air. It says you have a strong and powerful mind. The mind can be a great asset. It can bring comfort, peace, and strength as you take your spiritual journey. It can also be a dark and destructive force, undermining your power, making you doubt your own heart, and keeping you trapped in fear. And that's what I feel with the Nine of Swords. There's this sense of a hyperfixation on the worry, on the pain, on the negative storylines. And this could even be what you're ingesting externally to yourself as well. You could be surrounding yourself with people who are naysayers. You could be surrounding yourself with watching the news perpetually, where it's a negative storyline that's being fed. It could be watching negative Netflix shows, whatever it is, where you're watching nothing but dystopic visions of the future. And sometimes that can sink into our mental place and color and actually override our ability to see what we're enjoying in what's being offered to us to enjoy in the moment. It says, okay, the mind developed without a loving spiritual practice can be a frightening weapon rather than a liberating sword. And boy, do you have those liberating swords coming up all over here. How will you choose to use your mind power? It says your mind can become more spacious and luminous if you practice emptying it on a regular basis. The radiant mind can be a mighty warrior against fear and despair, encouraging you with thoughts of optimism. When not given a chance to empty, however, the mind becomes overwhelmed with unprocessed information. Much of it will be fear-based programming perpetuated by mass media, which is invested in controlling others and manipulating them by fear. This initiation, which liberates and opens the mind, empowers advanced souls to free themselves from manipulation and control. The hallmark of a dysfunctional society is that the mind is expected to dominate the inclinations of the heart rather than serve it. The mind can be trained to be a great manager, creator, and defender of what has genuine value to the heart. But the power to feel what has meaning for us, what moves us enough to rise above our fears and risk growth, comes from the heart, not the mind. When the mind is given the task to feel and the heart is told to not feel, paralysis, confusion, and discomfort are experienced. I'm going to say that one more time. When the mind is given the task to feel and the heart is told not to feel, paralysis, confusion, and discomfort are experienced. As you enter into this initiation, you will feel the need to step back from what you have been taught and learn to question what you once held to be true. As you disengage from habitual mental patterns, you will begin to observe your thoughts rather than be swept up in them. Soon you will begin to experience yourself as the peaceful, steady light of love that you are in truth. Will the mind go through its motions? Yes. However, there is no need to be afraid of this. One step at a time, your spirit shall guide your mind back towards peace. You will change the way you relate to your own mind, becoming more empowered. As you soften the strident action of the mind, you will see that you can use your mental gifts wisely rather than allowing them to cause you pain. Those who have strong mental energies can accomplish much in terms of communication, invention, and creativity, but they often also suffer from destructive self-talk and mental obsessions. They may even be addicted to thinking, which can wear them out and create cravings for sugar that can lead to depression and illness. Instead, it is much better to regularly take time out from the mind and be in the moment, feeling energized, playful, and at peace. Your mind is a powerful creature. Tame it with persistence, compassion, kindness, and strength. Give yourself rest and an opportunity to switch off and empty your mind as regularly as you can. There is no need to judge or despair. This is an advanced initiation and one that is brought to you only when you are ready. Consider it a sign of your spiritual progress. The world will benefit from you as you learn to handle your mental energies more constructively. This oracle is indeed an omen of greater peace and happiness in your imminent future. I love it. And then we have number 17, Family of Light. says the limits that much of humanity place upon their love, that they will love their own family, country, religion, or community better than they love those on the outside, do not restrain your heart. You are capable of loving humanity, of loving all creation on earth as an extended spiritual family. You will love all as your own. You are meant to belong to a broader family of light. While some souls have incarnated to learn about us and them, others have the purpose of teaching unconditional, all-embracing love. You are one of these. You have taken life to love the many, not just the few. For this life purpose to be anchored, issues in your biological family may keep you from bonding with them in a typical way. Perhaps you were the odd one out in your family, the one whom no one really understood. Perhaps you felt loved but couldn't live the way your family seemed comfortable to live. Maybe you lost family members through divorce, disease, depression, and death, or through addiction or emotional immaturity that left you disconnected from key family members. If your father figure was absent, while you must do the emotional healing to work to process that pain, understand the purpose of that absence for your own spiritual connection to remain intact, pure, and powerful. If your mother figure was absent, while you are advised to do the emotional work to process that pain, understand the purpose of that absence for you to look beyond your immediate family to find your place and find yourself belonging to and being devoted to the entire human race. This pain was part of how you remained unconditioned by the more typical family bonds. While these bonds are necessary for many souls to experience their life lessons, the difficulty you may have experienced regarding them helped push you to become a child of love. You had to seek family in expansive ways, remaining open as you searched for love, rather than feeling satisfied by your immediate tribe and closed to those outside it. You can come through your experience not as a victim of circumstance, but as an empowered soul. Process it, heal, forgive, and step into the spiritual blessings gained through your atypical relations with your biological family. Although you are not meant to belong in a traditional way to your family of origin, you shall not be denied the love you need. You are here to help build a human family joined by more than blood or legal union. It will not just be you loving the world, but the world loving you. The power of your heart to give and receive love shall not be wasted. So it is time to gently undo the patterns of attempting to fit in. Instead, trust that you are exactly as you are meant to be. When you do, your magnetism will draw love and friendship from those who vibrate at a similar level of consciousness to you. Leave past hurts and rejection behind. You no longer need them to grow. Be brave. Pray to connect to your family of light, not only in spirit, but also here on earth. Let them in. Know that you belong here in spirit and in body, to be loved, held, touched, listened to, and accepted just as you are. And I will leave you with that, Capricorn. What a beautiful reading. And I really do hope that you use the power of your mind in a constructive way to allow you to connect with your true emotional center, which is your heart, because there is so much joy, love, and abundance coming in for you at this time. Don't waste it. All right, I will leave it there. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the day. If you'd like to book your own personal reading to take a look at what your soul would most like to illuminate for you that may bring light or clarity to areas of darkness or confusion, you can click on the link in the description box below to visit my website. Otherwise, I will see you all in your next reading. Bye, Capricorn.